Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Local Lens. My name is Edward McCarver. The Wallingford Community Theater is presenting Thornton Wilder's Our Town. Performances will be held on Friday, November 22nd at 7:30 p.m., Saturday, November 23rd at 7:30 p.m., and a Sunday matinee, November 24th at 2 p.m. The play will be performed at the Robert Parisi Town Council Chambers at Town Hall. Tickets can be purchased at Amici Salon and Spa, Gallagher's Travel Shop, Connie's Kitchen, and also at the door. Tickets can also be purchased online at www.brownpapertickets.com. So I'd like to welcome actually two old friends and one new friend here. The director of the play, Mary Ellen Eccles, Mio.
Good to see
Good
you,
to
Ed.
see you.
Yes, welcome.
We're so formal. Let me get to my hard-hitting questions
Yes.
here. First, welcome and thank you for taking time out, the three of you. I know it's getting close
It's
to
fun to be here.
crunch time. We're taping about a week and a half before the curtain rises, so even though there's no curtain there. But
That's right.
right. I wanted to ask, you have a few reasons for selecting Our Town as the Repertory Theater's production this fall. Could you tell us why that play was chosen for this specific time?
Sure. It's our kickoff to the Wallingford 350 Jubilee. And I was trying to think of something for Repertory that would be reflective of, it's very nostalgic and it takes place in the turn of the century. And I have my thoughts about at least Wallingford influencing Wilder when he wrote it.
For those of us not familiar with the play, can you tell us what Our Town is all about?
Well, not to give too many things away. It's really a celebration, I think, of everyday life and the unique specialness, the extraordinary about ordinary things and times. Today, I think we'd call it mindfulness, but the play deals with all the ordinary things that happen in everyday lives of everyday people, and how precious that really is.
Now, the play was first published by Thornton Wilder in 1938, but it's still very popular today, over 80 years later.
It's a classic.
Why is it popular now?
Well, I think part of the beauty of it is in Wilder's writing. In spite of my research and everything else, everybody connects with it. Everybody feels, oh, he's writing about my town, and that's really a beautiful thing. The resonance with everyone that reads it. I think there's something in there. For me, as a kid reading it, I think I was probably in middle school when I read it first. I loved the nostalgia. Plus, it's written in between 1900, 1913, that time frame. And that was when my grandmother met my grandfather and built the house that I grew up in and was married. So I used to hear stories about those days all the time. So when I went to school and read Our Town, I was thinking, well, yeah, of course. That's just like Nanny and Grandpa in the hall, So I think everybody connects with it. I think in some way there's a lot of truth in there about life, and I think that's what Thornton Wilder really explores on a lot of different levels.
Now, the play is set in 3 acts. Does each
Yes.
act have a theme?
Yes. The narrator kind of describes that, but basically you start at an earlier period in time. I don't want to give too much away,
yeah.
but you start at an earlier period of time, and then you move into, it's daily life, and then you move into marriage, and finding that special someone, and then the last act kind of focuses on dying. And a lot of people think that the play, oh, this is so depressing, but it's really not. He's exploring it, and death is certainly a reality. I think I forgot what famous actor had that famous saying, "None of us get out of this alive." So
I've heard that.
So it really, I loved the play. I find it very warming and nostalgic. So.
We're talking with Mary Ellen Eccles from the Wallingford Community Theater. They are presenting Our Town Friday, November 22nd, Saturday, November 23rd at 7:30 p.m., and Sunday matinee, November 24th at 2 p.m. at the Robert Parisi Town Council Chambers at Town Hall. Tickets can be purchased at Amici Salon and Spa, Gallagher's Travel Shop, Connie's Kitchen. Also can be purchased online at brownpapertickets.com. And tickets, if available, will also be at the door. We have a couple of the actors have
Yes.
joined us. One, I think a familiar face to local lens, Matt Bennett, and Stephanie Aiello is unfamiliar face, but soon
Yes.
to be familiar to Wallingford Theater. Can you tell us briefly, and I'll start with you, Matt, tell us briefly about your role in the play?
I played George, who is one of the two main, I'd say, kids, but they eventually get into their 20s, who you follow throughout the play, who realize that they're falling in love, and they go through the motions of the daily stuff. Like Mrs. Eccles was saying, how these people met in high school and everything. And so George and Emily kind of have that similar experience that I think a lot of people relate to and everything.
And Stephanie, your role?
I play Emily. She's the other half of the two kids. She's a precocious young girl, a product of her times, the 1900s for sure. She's very bright. She's ambitious as you can be in a small town, in Grover's Corners in 1901. I think that if she lived anywhere other than Grover's Corners, she would probably go on to do some pretty big things. But she's a product of the society she lives in, and she wants to get married and settle down and have kids, and that's kind of the course of her life. And she doesn't have, I don't think that's something she has regrets about. It's just the way things were in a town like that in 1904 through 1913, so yeah.
Yeah.
Now, both of you, I know, Matt, you've been in many previous plays, and Stephanie, you're a
Yeah,
theater
I'm a total
veteran, too?
newbie.
Okay.
Yeah, theater and acting has been something that I've been interested in pretty much all my life, but from the sidelines. When I was 9 or 10, I actually would put on these plays for the entire neighborhood. I would write, cast, directed, and starred in these plays, and I made, God knows what they were about, I don't remember. And I would make these programs, and I shoved them into the neighbors' mailboxes, and everybody would gather on my porch, and we'd put on these performances. So I can at least point to that time and say the passion was there.
So you knew?
Yeah,
At
it was
that early
there.
age,
It was there. And
okay.
then I went through middle school and high school and college, and a lot of change happens, and I became much shyer. And other than some behind-the-scenes work in high school, I really didn't buck up the courage to audition for anything. And my brother has done community theater his whole life, pretty much, and he's always encouraged me. And every time I'd leave one of his plays, I'd always have that inkling feeling of, oh, I kind of want to do this. Can I do it? I need to push myself. I want to try. And I saw the posting for Wallingford Community Theater's Our Town in the summer, and I live in Wallingford, and I love the play. And I think I felt that if I didn't push myself to do it for this, I never would.
So this is your debut?
Yes, yes it is.
She is amazing. I couldn't believe, I figured, she just put not apply, NA on her resume.
Experience and
NA, and I was going, wow, she must really have an amazing, she didn't want to blow me away or something. She must have this huge, she is, I couldn't believe this, she's amazing. She's absolutely amazing. What a natural actress, and she's wonderful to work with.
And I'm all right too, but
You're okay.
Well, Matt, that's a good segue to my next question. What is the appeal of the theater to you? What is it about the theater that makes you keep coming back?
I got into it in high school. One of the teachers who runs the high school musicals just asked me to be part of it, and before that I did sports, but had to stop after knee surgery. So I had nothing to do and just said, okay, yeah, sure. So I ended up doing it, and I just like immediately fell in love with it. And I remember that show, I was jumping in anywhere I could. Like if someone wasn't there a certain day, I'd be like, oh, I'll do their part for them today and everything. And I ended up getting like 5 different little roles in it from like the one that she just asked me to do because I was willing to do everything. And I think for me, the appeal is just kind of getting to play someone else, getting to get into these different emotions of all these different characters and living these different lives and telling a story to an audience and entertaining people.
Very good. We're talking with members of Wallingford Community Theater. They will be performing Thornton Wilder's Our Town, Friday, November 22nd at 7:30 p.m., Saturday, November 23rd at 7:30 p.m., and a Sunday matinee, November 24th at 2 p.m. The play will be performed at the Robert Parisi Town Council Chambers at Town Hall. Tickets can be purchased at Amici Salon and Spa, Gallagher's Travel Shop, Connie's Kitchen, also at the door if available. Tickets also can be purchased online at www.brownpapertickets.com. I wanted to ask you, Mary Ellen, when Wilder wrote the play, he called, there's very little scenery on or props to be used in the performance. Why is that?
He was really ahead of his time with that. You see that now, but back then, that was, you think back to 1938. This is when MGM and the Follies and, there was big, huge costumes, productions and in the musicals and stuff. So I don't know the definitive answer. We can only kind of guess, but I'm thinking he really had something important to say, and how better to say it than simply telling the story. It presents, a bit of a challenge in directing and acting because you don't have that cup of coffee in your hands. And we had some chuckles during rehearsal and stuff. Somebody would be thinking they're holding the thing, and then they'd go talk to somebody. They'd throw it in the actor next to them. And we had to teach permanence of object and how to you truly have to create with your hands, and you have to feel it. You really have to be there. And I was really lucky in college. I had a great mime teacher that really worked hard on that kind of thing. So we worked on that. And the sets, it really focuses on the actors and their story. And there's a really raw beauty in that. I think we're very blessed because Matt and Emily, yeah,
That's
Stephanie,
right.
yeah, they're all character names to me now. The whole cast are they're brilliant. They really worked hard. They're ready now. And it's they really tell the story. We've worked hard. They put up with my finite directing sometimes, where they really work hard to really get it right, and it has to read to the audience what you're doing. It's not enough to feel it. It's not enough to even have some kind of an expression on your face. Your whole body has to act. And the audience sitting out there, if they don't get it, it didn't work. So we work really, really hard on that.
Now, the community theater's last handful of performances were either comedies or musicals. Matilda,
Right.
Noises Off, Mary Poppins, the Steve Martin play, Picasso with the Lapina G. How difficult is it to now perform a drama? Does anything change as far as rehearsal? And Matt, I'll follow up that question.
Yeah. Comedy is more challenging because that's all about timing. And actors either have the timing or they don't. And if they don't, they can kind of approximate it, but it's really difficult. With drama, it's really a question of good basic acting, of having the understanding and the feelings inside of them and learning how to translate that out so that it reads to the audience. With comedy, you have to add timing because if the timing's wrong, it's not funny. So I love comedy, but perhaps too much. But we actually began Repertory with a drama. we started with Eugene O'Neill's The Straw, and we chose that because he wrote it about his experiences at Gaylord Sanitarium at the time, the tuberculosis, yeah, where he actually met the woman he has in the play that he wrote, dies from consumption, but in real life he did end up marrying her. I don't know how happily, but they did get married. And that was a pretty dark, heavy, Matt was in that one too. And that was a pretty dark one. But, you know, in the times we're in now, I think all of us felt, and I certainly did, that we wanted to bring something uplifting to the audience. And I do think that our town has that uplifting quality to it. If nothing else, on a reminder, pay attention to the blessings, pay attention to the people in your lives, pay attention to what blessings you have, and be mindful of them, be grateful.
And Matt, after doing musicals and comedies, is it a tough switch to drama?
I've done a lot with the Wallingford Community Theater in terms of the musicals and comedies, but throughout that, I've also worked with other companies. I've done a couple shows down in Milford with the Milford Arts Center that were more dramatic. So I've had kind of a consistent swapping between all three. And there's different challenges for each. Like she said, with comedies, you need the timing, but with dramas, you need to actually feel the emotion that you're putting out there. Otherwise, the audience isn't going to believe it. And I think with this play, though, when you read it, it might come off a bit dramatic and dark, but when we've been going through the rehearsals, we've found that in the way that things come across, there is a lot of comedy and a lot of light in this play even that doesn't so much come across if you're just reading the script, but comes across when you're acting it out and when you're putting the emotions into everything.
It's almost hard to classify it. I have a hard time classifying it as a drama even because it's kind of like daily life. Life isn't a comedy and it's not a drama. It's a mix of both.
Right.
And this is what happens in the play. It's showing you daily life. There are comedic moments, there are some dramatic moments, but it's not one or the other. It's
Right.
feels wrong almost to just say it's a drama because I think people automatically think tragedy and tension and conflict, and it's not really about that.
And we concentrated, I said to the cast, there are nuggets of humor here, just in everyday life. You know, as she was saying, life isn't one way or the other, it's a mix of everything. But it was important because a lot of, a few of them anyway, most people think of it as a drama. They think of it as dark. Some people even think of it as depressing. But oh my gosh, there are some really funny moments in there that are just, if you look, you can think of something similar that happened in your own daily life that's just kind of silly and fun. And I said, we have to dig out the nuggets. Make sure you play the nuggets of humor in here because life is like that.
You had touched on something before. You said they're ready now, which kind of leads me to my next question. How much more intense is rehearsal a week or two before the opening of a performance? And how do you know your actors, to use an athletic analogy, that your actors are in shape to perform? It's, you know, when
Yeah.
a coach knows his athlete is ready, he'll kind of like taper. How do you know?
My
that they're ready?
my own style of directing is probably what I found. I think I was an actor for a long time before I started directing, and I think that really feeds well into the directing. At least it does for me. It really informs my directing. I try to experience and feel and see things through the actor's eyes. And what always worked for me, and this is how I direct, is that I will start, and there'll be a much stronger push in the beginning, and I will, you know, pick apart. I will say, stop. We need to. It's reading this way. We need to this. You know, and sometimes, especially in the musicals and the big production numbers, we can do something over and over and over and over again until we finally figure it out and work it out, kind of thing. But as we get going, there's a certain point when I know that has to stop, and it has to start to flow and find its rhythm and tempo. And we did that probably about a month ago. That pretty much was well in hand, at least. At this point, now it's kind of more of getting used to the new performance space, It's more the actors dealing with their own feelings about, being nervous or something else, or, maybe little habits that some of them have if they go up in a line and they say, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and they start talking about the fact they went up in their line, and I have to remind them, just dig it out. You have to just keep going like it never happened. So it's more of a polishing, but I think I try to back off a little bit and make the pressure a little less in terms of rehearsal. It's still pretty consistent, but I think I lighten up right before, like the week or two before. I think I lighten up a little bit. We run through it, but it's not the hard press. It's not a full court press where you'll definitely, I'll let them get used to it for a week or two, and then we really work hard,
We're talking with Mary Ellen Eccles and members of the Wallingford Community Theater. They'll be performing Our Town on Friday, November 22nd at 7:30 p.m., Saturday, November 23rd at 7:30 p.m., and a Sunday matinee, November 24th at 2 p.m. The play will be performed at the Robert Parisi Town Council Chambers at Town Hall. Tickets can be purchased at Amici Salon and Spa, Gallagher's Travel Shop, Connie's Kitchen. Tickets can also be purchased online at brownpapertickets.com. For the actors, how do you memorize lines? It's a dialogue heavy play.
Yes,
as
it
I
is.
understand it.
Yeah.
What's the secret? And Matt, maybe because I know you've done it before.
Yeah,
How do you memorize
for me,
lines?
it's going through the rehearsals. I often will associate a lot of my lines with the movements that will end up going with them. What's called blocking in the theater. Of at this point I'm moving over here, and at this point my lines are this and everything. So for me, it's just kind of the repetition of doing it over and over until it like really gets stuck in your head and becomes just almost a routine.
And Stephanie, did
Well,
you
having
memorize your lines on the front porch years ago?
for me, what it boils down to is on performance night and even in the rehearsals, the last thing I want to be worried about is my lines. So honestly, that process for me began before the rehearsals even started. There's no secret. It's just reading and saying aloud the words over and over again in my apartment, doing chores, out and about. And it's not saying the words over and over again to memorize them, but to learn different things about the words and to understand the scene and the character's motivations and what's not being said. And in that process, I think naturally the words just kind of commit themselves to memory. I find that works for me because then I go into rehearsal with new ideas each time. It's kind of an ongoing journey, and I'm prepared to adapt to new things that my scene partners give me. So that's kind of what works for me. I find that what's challenging and just as important is learning the cues to your lines, because you have to know when it's your turn to speak. And on stage, it has to be, the audience needs to witness a natural interaction that's spontaneous and that's happening for the first time. And to do that, you really have to know your lines or what's going on in the scene backward and forward. So that way they could experience that, not just two actors reciting what they've learned. You have to listen to the other actor. They say that acting is reacting, and it's listening, and that's what you have to do. So in order to do that, you have to know when to speak, and in addition to your own lines. So, yeah.
Okay, very good. Are you sure this is your first play?
I know.
I do. When I commit to something, I never go into it unprepared. And for this, being out of my element, I mean, I knew my fellow cast members would probably be more experienced and they would have studied theater. So I really did as much research as I could on acting as a craft and theater and everything I could do to kind of hold up my end.
And she does. They all do really brilliantly.
I wanted to ask you, Mary Ellen, and again, you touched on it earlier, the 350th birthday of Wallingford is coming up in 2020.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what Wallingford Community Theater has planned?
Yes,
for
we're very excited.
2020?
January 6th and 7th, we are having auditions for 1776, the musical. It will be performed at Lyman Hall High School, which is cool because Lyman Hall is in the play. It's a brilliant musical. I did it a long time ago, and I'm hoping that some of the actors that were in it then will come and reprise some of their roles, but it's great. And we're also adding to it, so I'll do a shout out to Wallingford. We're opening it up to all the kids, all the children, all the teens. Anyone who wants to be a part of it can be a part of it. I'm kind of famous for always inviting everybody in and finding a part for everybody.
And you don't necessarily have to be a Wallingford resident. This is for,
you don't.
for
You
anyone.
don't.
Okay.
You don't. But I would love to have lots of kids and teens in this. We've got a really special thing for them to do in this. I'm also looking for, I'd like to get all the bell choirs in Wallingford together because I am writing some bell music. I used to be an advisor for Schulmerich, and I'm writing some bell music to go with the score for some of the big production numbers, and it would be fabulous. So lots and lots, if you want to be part of it, on stage or behind the scenes, come sign up.
Best way to get in contact with you.
We have a Facebook page. It's Wallingford Community Theater, theater with an R-E, but they'll probably find us with an E-R. And we have an Instagram page, and we have a website. So, and that's Wallingford Center for the Arts.
That's okay. All right. Good. In the 3 minutes we have remaining, what is opening night like for Mary Ellen Eccles? Do you have a routine? Are you a wreck? Will you talk to the
I'm
actors?
not a wreck. I'm not a wreck. I believe in, everybody thinks being creative and, an actor or something like that, that, it's all, random and erratic, but it's not. You're very organized. You have to create a very strong foundation. You create a structure for your artists to work in, and we work really hard and very consistently. So by the time opening night comes, my job is to make sure everybody's ready, and they are. And so it's, you're excited. It's more of a fun excitement for me. It's not,
Adrenaline is.
Oh yeah, it's. I want to see them. I want to see them succeed. I want to see their faces when they sing in a big production number or a solo, and the audience responds, and just to watch their faces, it's a great joy for me.
And Matt, this is your first play, so you'll tell us about your routine next year. but Matt, is there a certain routine or something you do before opening night?
Well, I do a lot of behind-the-scenes work as well, a lot of the sound and all that. So opening night for me is a bit more hectic because that's got to make sure everything's working. And so I'll run through all that early on. I'll usually get there a couple hours before everyone else just to make sure everything's all set and ready to go. But after that's all set up, I really get to calm down and feel ready for it. Of course, there's the, a little bit of nervousness, which allows you to get that adrenaline pumping to perform better and everything. But beyond that, it's, like she said, it's not as chaotic as one might think it would be.
We're talking with members of Wallingford Community Theater. They will be presenting Thornton Wilder's Our Town. Performances on Friday, November 22nd at 7:30 p.m., Saturday, November 23rd at 7:30 p.m., and a special Sunday matinee. You like the matinees, huh? November 24th at 2
it took a
p.m.?
long time for me to be talked into that, but the audience likes the matinees.
The play will be performed at the Robert Parisi Town Council Chambers. Tickets can be purchased at Amici Salon and Spa, Gallagher's Travel Shop, Connie's Kitchen. Tickets can also be purchased at www.brownpapertickets.com. With the 30 seconds we have remaining, I just want to say thank you very much for
our pleasure.
stopping by at Local Lens.
Thank you
Good
for
luck.
having me. Thank you.
Is it appropriate to say break a leg?
Sure.
Break a leg and enjoy the play.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Ed McCarver with Local Lens. We'll see you soon.